I'm going to start calling these things real talk conversations, and Google is already listening. Goodness. It popped up. How can I help you? All right. So we're going in real talk. So this is January 24, and we're going to do these every week, likely about the same time. This is like the perfect time because yeah, I do a lot of prospecting in the morning, which I encourage you all as agents to find some time to prospect, right? Some time to reach out to your database, follow up with people you generated conversations with over the weekend because it's Monday. So over the past week, you've had conversations with people and you're following up with them. So I recommend doing it first thing in the morning. And for me, that's when I do it. Or just in another time that you're allocating on your day to follow up with the people that you're generating real estate conversations with, right? So for me, I do it in the morning, allocate, about an hour-ish for lunch, and then, some prep time for me to host this call. So that's why these are in two. So that's the reason why, if you're wondering why 2 o'clock. So that's just an idea there for you. All right. So what I wanted to do is start with just a kind of table of contents here. So we're going to do some industry news, what's going on generally, big picture stuff, and then, focus it in with market insight, productivity, talk about some productivity, 4 pillars of real estate business. And then we're going through some Q&A. So we're going to do 1, 3, 2, then 4. So I misnumbered my slides here, but we're good to go. All right. So then one thing that I believe is super important as real estate professionals, we have likely already been hearing this news, right? That mortgage rates are on the decline. So this isn't necessarily anything revolutionary for us as real estate pros, but the reason I emphasize this here as my primary industry news for the nation is because a lot of people aren't following the real estate trends like we are. And so we need to make sure that we are the economists of choice for our clients, our friends, our family, our sphere of influence, everybody. So of course, mortgage lenders, know this is already happening because this is their stuff. But this is also really important for us as well, that we know that rates are on the trend down. They are not on the trend up. There are multiple economists across many different, they're forecasting, they're putting into their forecasts. It's not just a prediction, it's forecasting within their business models, lower rates for 2024. And lo and behold, it's also an election year. So I don't think that is, revolutionary, that it's going to get, just a little crazy in 2024. But thankfully, it's going to hopefully get crazy in the positive sense for real estate pros, that trends for real estate mortgage rates are on the decline. We need to start sharing that information. That needs to be part of conversations that we have with clients. And honestly, just in passing conversations, because, a lot of the people are already knowing you as real estate pros. So we should also start sharing that information as part of the conversation with the people that we're talking to, because it's fun and it's easy. One of the highlights that I made from this article was that homeowners have told us repeatedly that high mortgage rates are the top reasons why it's a bad time to buy or sell. So they've already noted that high mortgage rates are a reason why they're on the fence, according to this guy, Mark Pillam he's a chief deputy economist at Fannie Mae. So he's at Fannie Mae. He's doing these research projects, taking polls from consumers, and just like our clients. And he's saying the reason they're on the fence is because mortgage rates are high. So if now we're sharing with people that, hey, you're right, I mean, they're not as high as they used to be, right? So according to the rate comparison from back in September, October, November, rates are almost a full percentage point lower, right? They're in the high sixes, mid sevens, and that's dramatically different than the eights. Again, these are just national trends, even some trends from the greater Houston area. But that's an important note, because even a percentage point change in your mortgage rate can dramatically affect affordability of the average home buyer. And at the same time, somebody wanting to sell their home, getting multiple offers. So something that was super fun, which is fun conversation, right? Because it's, of course, we want to talk about the interest rates and we want to talk about those things, but sometimes it's just fun to dream, similar to how we dream when we see the billboards. We're driving through Houston, right? When it's, almost hitting $1 billion for the lottery. The most expensive home currently on the market to date is this $65 million home in Houston. So it's called the Lodge at Hunters Creek. It's on Buffalo Bayou. It has views of the Houston Country Club. It has 22,000 square feet. I mean, this is just a ridiculous house. So if you just type in most expensive home in Houston, you'll find this thing. I found multiple articles on this. I found it super, super fun to just talk about. It has the limestone that was used. It was quarried. The limestone that was quarried for this home was the same limestone that was used in the Empire State Building. So that's a really fun just fact. A two-story library. So if you're a reader, this is a house for you. Not only are you rich, but you're a reader. So there you go. A glass elevator. I mean, what the heck, right? I mean, this is kind of stuff from the Batman, the Batcave, right? 6 bedrooms and 8 baths. So this is a beautiful home. I mean, I think it's like 9 acres, 8 or 9 acres. And it's just, I mean, this is definitely one of those trophy homes, but it's also one of those homes. If you go through the pictures, you can definitely see yourself living here. It's not like one of those expensive homes, like I do watch a lot of these YouTube guys where they post and they do videos of these homes like in California, some even in, Florida, and they just look a little too mod to be like warm and inviting for myself or even my wife because we watch them together at night sometimes. But this home, I'm like, I could so see myself living in something like this. I mean, you're almost at just a very intimate, high end, super high end hotel, and but that has a real homey feel. So check this out, look it up. Almost have it as a quick go to button if you want to have fun conversation with friends about real estate. This is definitely one of those conversation starters. So I wanted to take some time. So talk about what's going on in the Houston area. So I don't have December numbers yet because that hasn't been crafted by HAR. So what I'm doing is I'm going through what's happened in November over November from 22 to 23. So there's been a modest change of 3.7 from the total property sales, 7,200 to 7,400. It's not really a notable change from November to November. Dollar volume, again, that's not really a biggest difference, 7.5% change. We have the biggest change when I think the big notable changes are when you start hitting 10% plus, right? So we have 13.5% change in active listings. So we have 35,000 listings, or just almost 36,000 listings from November of 22. Now November of 23, we have almost 41,000 listings. So that's the biggest notable change in active listings. Now, single family home sales, again, almost 6,000 and just over 6,000 when we're comparing November to November. Now we have single family average sales price, 400,000. Again, that's pretty much flat, right? 400,000 in 22, 404 in 2023. Again, nothing really crazy. And then the median sale price. So the median is the most occurring. So if you put all the properties in a line, the property that occur, the price that occurs in the middle of that line. So if you have 11 properties, property price number 6 right in that middle, that's the median, and that's 330,000. And then in 23 it's 326,000. So again, that's pretty much flat, nothing notable there. You have month supply of inventory. So we have month supply of inventory that's still flat at about 3 months, 3.5 months in 23. Again, it's pretty much flat. I would say it still favors a seller, even though it doesn't feel like it. When you see properties that are languishing on the market more and more, I am seeing more properties going expired, and even almost as many going withdrawn. So properties are not necessarily hitting their peak in terms of number of days. I see many properties going withdrawn at like day 40, day 50, which in reality isn't that many days, in my personal opinion, because the greater Houston area has experienced such a long timeline of properties selling in less than 30 days. We've had so many months, honestly, a few years of properties selling like 2 weeks, 1 week, 5 days, a day before. I mean, you used to be able to just call somebody and say, hey, I got this house. Yes, I'll buy it. They don't even know what it is, what it looks like, and they're buying the house. So we've had so many months of that people are getting a lot more skittish, specifically sellers, and they're removing their property off the market. and many are opting to rent. But again, that's the trend that I'm seeing when I look at, the areas and I see properties that have sold. And I also click expired and terminated, because what I'm doing, if I have a buyer in that area, I'm not finding what I'm looking for. I just look up terminated and withdrawn properties within that same area, and I'm finding properties. And I'm calling the agents and saying, hey, are they still interested in selling? And then pending sales has jumped 11% from November of 22 to November of 23. So that's another big deal, another big notable change. So what that is showing you is that people are jumping back into the market because the rate started dropping back in October. So that's the notable change of people that are wanting to jump back into the market. And we're seeing that there in November from that big jump of 11% pending sales. That means people put a property under contract. Right now, the last 10 years of sales, this is that timeline. And the blue line you see, that's pretty much all the sales that have happened. So right now in 24, if you notice, it's almost like this little slight uptick, right? Where properties are starting to go and sell. More sales are starting to slowly happen. We're definitely nowhere near the rate of sales that happened back in 21, 22, and mid 23, early 23. And that's when things started tapering off. Now, the last time we've seen a rate of sales similar to this was mid 20, right? So back in probably the summer of 2020, that's when we saw rates of sales similar to this. And at the very beginning of 20. So right there in that 2020 year, that's when we've seen a rate of sales similar. All right, so then here is another important one. So this is the active listings for all the property types in the greater Houston area. Now, if we look here, again, we're starting to see, an increase in listings and active listings. We haven't seen this number of listings since 21. The reason it was different in 21 is because properties were still selling at a dramatic pace. So now we're seeing the opposite side because properties aren't selling as fast. There's 11% more properties pending right there at the very bottom, that note. But again, it's not the same rate at which they were selling back in 21 and late 20. The rate of sales is similar in terms of an upward trend back to 17. So if we look back at 2017, we see the rate of sales is very similar to that trend line. If the projections of rates dropping continues, I do believe it's going to be very similar to 2017. Now, so with all those things, right, I wanted to put together 4 pillars of sales, right? How to find sales, how to get sales in 2024, because I believe this little tail up is an indicator of what's going to happen in 2024, right? So I'm putting a lot of emphasis in, you, Kevin, all the other agents at Marathon Realty, Ms. Carlar. I mean, you need to take this information and do everything you can to have conversations within these 4 brackets, within these 4 pillars, right? So the first one is agent initiated. So that's outbound, right? So let me get my notes here. So we have outbound, inbound, referral partners, and sphere of influence. So in my opinion, these are the 4 ways in which you can bracket out or pillar out your business and find ways to generate business for yourself, generate leads, right? So number 1 is the outbound. Now, outbounds are you making calls, you making door knocks, you making texts, you sending these out, you sending out emails, you sending out direct messages on social media, or sending out snail mail, right? Sending out a handwritten postcard, a letter, or printing out letters, or going to Kinko's and getting a mass printout on nice shiny paper to put in an envelope to send out to people, right? So that's outbound generated sales. Now, who can you do that to, right? That's circle prospecting a neighborhood that you want to generate business in. You can do for sale by owners. You can do rent by owner. That's like an investor, maybe, that you look at. That's also falls into the category of owner or not owner occupied, right? So there's a specific way you can search that in the realist tax, where you go and you search for properties in a specific neighborhood, zip code, or community. And you select the box that says non-owner occupied, right? Or owner not occupied. I forgot how it's worded in different places, but ultimately you can drum up potential business by filtering out properties that way. So that's how you would outbound sales. That's you reaching out and reaching out to people. Another way of doing potential inbound is you can also create, and that's a bullet point number two, right? Pillar number two, where you can create content marketing. Now, the reason content marketing, I would say, is more inbound is when you put out content that becomes a type of fishing pole, right? So every piece of content you put out, I would say on from YouTube to Instagram, Facebook, that becomes a lure in the pool of potential clients for you, that it sits out there and it's forever out there to market you, right? So if you're talking about a specific community, right? And I would say YouTube kind of does this a little bit better for you than Instagram, TikTok, and other, Facebook and all those things, because YouTube is a search engine, right? So if you want to create something on YouTube and there's YouTube Shorts, you don't have to get super creative to do stuff on YouTube. I mean, you can, but you don't have to start there. Again, that becomes this like fishing pole that just sits out there and it's a lure ready for a buyer to bite on and become a lead opportunity for you. And they become a call into you, a call into your world. And again, that's the same thing on social media where you create a video. You can honestly create content on the first few items that I listed on this presentation, right? So if we go back to this, you can create a piece on Instagram that talks about this, right? It can be a 30-second, 1-minute piece where you say, hey, rates are lower, people are jumping into the market. Make sure you jump in before it gets too crowded, right? And here's some insight, done. Send, post, and it's there. Now, the same thing could be said for this. This is almost, people just love looking at homes. You could say, oh my gosh, the most expensive home has just hit the market and it's beautiful. 2 cool things I love about it, X, Y, and Z, right? Or 3 cool things. That was X, Y, and Z. That was 3. So that's fun stuff. And then you can share behind you on a screen, a few photos of that property. And that becomes content that becomes a fishing pole in the sea of buyers and clients that may click on it and become part of your world. Referral partners. So now I want you to keep in mind this concept, right? So for lenders, inspectors, title companies, home warranty companies, we are referral partners to them, right? We are a business to business that mainly send referrals that way. Right. I'm not sure, like Ms. Carlar, how long have you been in the business that you've received a referral from a home warranty company or from a title rep or from a mortgage, maybe a mortgage person, depending on how many deals you do with them, they may send you a referral back to you. But for the most part, it is a one-way, it is often a more one-directional referral opportunity for those business partners. So now one thing that you should consider for referral partners are maybe restaurants, maybe insurance people, CPAs, and attorneys. Now that is an area of business to business that may be an opportunity for you, right? Maybe you stop by some of those law offices or friends that may know attorneys, and you drum up business that way or develop a referral opportunity that way. Because I would say, if somebody's reaching out to a divorce attorney or to a probate attorney or to, an attorney to manage a trust account or something to that effect, they're coming with their investments and they're asking the attorney, hey, I want to divest from this property, or I want to divest from these few investment properties that I own. Do you know somebody? Because for the most part, an attorney is likely not going to also be selling or listing that property as well. So they're going to reach out to an agent. And if you know a group of attorneys or at least a few attorneys that do that type of business, that would be a potential lucrative opportunity for you to generate more business opportunity. But if you consider other sources, other business owners that you may know, those may be another lucrative opportunity for you to generate business. And so the last one is, of course, our sphere of influence. Now, this one's always a tough one because it's a touchy subject, I would say, for most real estate pros. The reason is because most really don't tap into their sphere of influence as they should. I've been guilty of it, but it can be as easy as direct messaging your sphere of influence or giving people a call at the turn of the year, and it's the turn of the year, saying, hey, what's up? How's it going? Any plans or any big, goals you have for 2024? So I think it will be a miss for us if, as real estate professionals, we don't get back in touch with our own sphere. So some things you can do that are super, super easy for you, I would say, would be a weekly newsletter It could be something maybe monthly that you do send with maybe a birthday, maybe holiday cards, maybe even crafting an event every maybe once or twice a year, maybe even every quarter. Some things that you could do are hosting. I would say within this I would say early spring, come late February, March, maybe even April, hosting a like a curbside pickup where you reach out to your clients when there's spring cleaning and you say, hey, look, I partnered with a nonprofit and they're looking for these items specifically. And if you have any of these items, I would love to go and pick those up, gently used or whatever the case is. Coming with the truck, or I've rented something and I want to stop by and I'm going to pick it up. No hassle to you. Just put a tag on it. And you pick it up and then you take it and it becomes a whole thing for you, right? It becomes an opportunity for you to reach out to your database. It also becomes a partnership for you and that nonprofit. And it also becomes a potential for marketing for you where you can say, hey, we did this. This is the fourth pickup. Thanks so much, whoever the client is. Thanks so much, Jessica, for donating these services. I appreciate your generosity. When it comes to people being generous, people love getting blasted for that. You probably want to get permission before you do so. But people love that promotion of, we don't necessarily do it for promotion, but people do like it when you give them that, hey, thanks. We appreciate you. Thank you for your generosity on social media, right? And then so again, when you drop off all those items at a nonprofit or some type of shelter that you've partnered with, that can be a really great opportunity for you to again, promote it on social media, that you do it more, that you have a heart for your business, that your business has a heart, right? So that's one way again to get in touch with your sphere of influence and host an event. So I hope those were pretty insightful. So I wanted to first share this quote with you. So it doesn't take long. It doesn't take a long time to build a successful business, but it does take a long time for you to become that person to build that business. And I don't know who said this, but I heard it on social media from a bunch of different people. So I don't know who the original owner is, but I heard that and I'm like, I do believe that's true because there are so many successful real estate agents that have, a varying degree of success. But what is it going to take for us to reach that same level? And I think it's us becoming that person that's ready to invest in those activities and to be consistent with those activities. So I wanted to kind of share that quote with you and hopefully it motivates you.